lust can be another big weapon in the hands of Satan. One of the things I've learned is that Satanists actually pray and fast for pastors' marriages to break up and for them to fall into sexual temptation. I thought, isn't that interesting that Satanists will actually be committed enough to fast and pray for the breakup of marriages and families? That tells me that we as Christians, we need to be fasting and we need to be praying for our Christian leaders, all Christians really, for marriages to be strengthened and that they would recognize the trap set by the enemy and not fall into temptation. The way that many become entrapped in this is through the lure of pornography. You know, pornography is a big lie. People think, oh, I'm not hurting anyone, I'm just looking at something. No, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting your relationship with your wife. You're hurting the church when you choose to fill your mind with what would be called, really, sexual immorality. Remember, Jesus said, if you even look at a woman with lust in your heart, that's adultery. That's Jesus's standard. 1 Thessalonians 4, 3-5 and verse 7. For this is the will of God, your sanctification, that you should abstain from sexual immorality, that each one of you should know how to possess his own vessel in sanctification and honor, not in the lust of depravity, even as the Gentiles who do not know God. For God has not called us to uncleanness, but to holiness. Therefore, he that despises does not despise man, but God, who has also given us his Holy Spirit. Another way that Satan can work is through greed. You know, materialism is a real problem in a lot of places these days. And along with that is a lack of integrity, not having character. I just want to recount a situation where I felt the enemy was working. But you know what? When we act in integrity, God protects us. And so I went into a situation where I was doing a conference in a church where the organization that I was with was bringing the conference and the church was providing the facility. And there was an agreement that was made verbally that we would split the offering equally. We had quite a few expenses to do the conference, and then the church actually got some women to provide the food. When I got there to do the conference, the pastor said to me, now just to make sure we're clear, first we're going to take all of our expenses and then we'll split what's left of the offering in half. And I was like, but, you know, we've had a lot of expenses. And he goes, but just to be, I said, okay, I thought I'm not going to fight about it. You know, I knew God would honor me if I didn't make an argument over it. And then they came to me and they said to me, I really think I should announce the offering since the offering's going to you. And I was like, oh, I really don't want to do this. But I had to honor the fact that I was actually in their house. Even if they were doing the wrong thing, I was still in their house. So I allowed them. And, you know, they got up and said, let's be really generous because they've come a long way to do this conference and it's all going to them and blah, 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 blah. And I just couldn't believe how deceitful they were. But I just said, God, I just trust you. And, you know, so we ended up with less from the offering, but only like $100 less. And then someone felt not to put their check in the offering, but to come and to hand me a check for $1,000. And so I thought, wow, you know, that just showed me like maybe if that pastor had been honest, they would have had the check in the offering and they would have actually ended up with a lot more money. But because they were dishonest, God saw that we were taken care of. All of our additional expenses were met above and beyond. And they, in the end, ended up with a lot less. I just thought, you know, God, he really wants us to be people of integrity. You know, our character and our integrity, that's really important to God. And when we don't have integrity, that will actually give a foothold to the devil.